Welcome to Great Talking Entertainment. I'm your host, KJ, and this is the YouTube channel where I review movies and TV shows from all your favorite superheroes, including Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and much more. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talking Entertainment official channel. Now let's go, baby. Welcome back to the YouTube channel, everyone. My name is KJ, and today spoiler review video is the new series on Disney Plus by Marvel Television, Wonder Man Episode 6. Spoiler review. If you have not seen this show, please pause this. And before you go, could you hit the like button, aka the thumbs up button? That would help my YouTube channel out, and I truly appreciate that. Come back and let me know what you think about episode 6 of Marvel's Wonder Man in the comments below. So again, this is a spoiler review. Y'all been warned. Now, let's get into it. This episode starts off with a flashback scene of Trevor auditioning for the Mandolin. And we see him do his iconic voice change. And we see whoever's behind the camera is not really concerned about is he the greatest actor in the world. Like he just needs to be good enough to do the evil plot that they did in the Iron Man 3 movie, and he does it very well. And then it just flash forwards to this scene as Simon and Trevor have arrived to Von Koak's mansion, and Simus is nervous while Trevor is just chilled. And it's funny because Simon's like, oh my god, there's one shoe. Their shoe's off, and they left it at the front door. And he said, like, if maybe everybody has their shoe off, but Trevor don't really care. He's like, I'm just gonna go in. And this lady like opens the door, and she's like, hello, welcome, and invites him in. And Trevor's like, this is amazing. Like, it was just unnaturally not him. As they're walking in, you know, Simon has his shoes off and he just has his socks on, and Trevor has his shoes on. And they walk in, they meet the other ones, and they all have like their socks on, and one has slippers or whatever. And you know, there's some with experience. There's some who's good with, you know, musicals or Broadways, and then there's not so experienced, where one was just like a surfboard instructor, and he just was instructing a guy who was, I forgot who the actor, famous person he said, but it was just kind of like, that's typical real life situation. Like, you know, there's no like straightforward path to become a Hollywood actor or the biggest movie star in the world. Like, there's really no straight path to it. Like, you can come on from podcast, you know, content creator, you know, just whatever. If you know somebody too. That's another thing. There's really no straightforward path, and that's how it really is. And that's how it really is. Like, it just, you know, there's no straightforward to it. So, and that's what's typical. And so you're just like Simon and Trevor, they're up against people who want the same role, who want to be in the same movie or a TV show, just like in real life. That's just how it is. And so the director, Von Koak, introduced himself to his guests and explains what's going on as he sets up like a retreat to test everyone out. So this is kind of like an exercise. They're going to do a lot of exercise, and you know, they're going to do things to see, can you act this way? Can you show certain emotions? Do you know how to be the right anger, the right sad, the right happiness, the right calmness, whatever? Like, you got to figure it out. And usually this is a type of way too, and this happens in real life, not the Marvel superhero stuff, but the idea of auditioning for a role. And a lot of people, unless you're like a movie star, you're gonna have to jump through these hoops. And what's interesting too, they're really showing it like how it really goes down because like again, you when somebody casts somebody to play a character, usually the director and others who are involved are trying to point out their strong points and their weakness, right? And sometimes they want to take their weakness and turn it to a strong point. But that's where again, because shooting, they sometimes in life you may be in a scene and you're shooting the whole day for this one scene, and sometimes that person doesn't get it right, and you gotta keep redoing it until you get it right. Because editing it can be quite difficult, so it's always important as an actor or an actress that you can deliver exactly the way it needs to be presented in a particular scene. Like, because editing that is more difficult versus just trying to edit a CGI character, which I'm not saying editing CGI things is easy, but as far as the camera cut thing is not always a good idea. Sometimes it throws the viewers off, the audience off, and people are very critical to a lot of camera cuts. That's just the beauty of the beast, the nature of the beast, I should say. And no different. So this is the kind of thing like a test. That's why they're doing exercises, right? So again, back to the show. Director Vaughn is explaining his setup. He's explaining why he's inspired him and why he wants to direct a Wonder Man film. And he shows this giant chalkboard and they all have like pictures. And he has a funny way of saying he's inviting everybody into his mind, his thought. Now, here's some things that I caught that he had. Maybe he didn't do it, but maybe his assistant did. But there's pictures taped up on those chalkboards. And here's some things that I found on here. So let's just start off with the first thing I saw was obviously Captain America, Steve Rogers, Winter Soldier suit. It didn't show his face. It just showed like the chest, the stomach, and a little bit of whatever else. But you saw that. You saw Black Panther. They showed Thor's outfit from Love and Thunder. Then they had Sam Wilson's Captain America in the Falcon, the Winter Soldiers, or Brand New World outfit in there. One of the suits, I forget because his head was turned around. So you saw the back of his head with the shield, on his back. And then you saw like old Wonder Man outfits, characters from the original film. And then what's interesting, there was a scroll in there, a picture of a scroll and Iron Man. Not the scroll is Iron Man, but there was a scroll. And then the director played a song by the Midnight Special, Creedence Clearwater, which came in 1969. Now this reminds me obviously of Star-Lord's dad quoting a song to him from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So it had a little bit of elements of that, which I thought that was pretty cool. Now, obviously, James Gunn's work in the MCU with the Guardian of the Galaxy is very influenced by other directors to do stuff like that with when they get a Marvel projects or whatever. And there's that obvious, but it just for that scene it would just remind me of that, and that was pretty cool. Now, why didn't he have a picture of a scroll? Well, in Secret Invasions, it did break national news about them, so the world is very aware of what's going on in the MCU as far as that stuff. Now, the director assigns everybody to a partner, and Trevor and Simon are assigned to different partners. That kind of freaks out Trevor because we're starting to see Simon start being reliant on Trevor like a like for a comfort. Like when Simon's anxiety shoots up, he goes to Trevor because Trevor just knows how to talk to him. He knows how to explain to Trevor. Trevor knows how to explain to Simon to understand, help him understand, and help him read the room better with these situations. And obviously, he doesn't use his superpowers, and so that's kind of the thing. So, they start, and Trevor and this one guy, they do really good together, but not for Simon. I think he reenacts the whole scene of Pretty Woman, and I thought it was funny because he was throwing like the glass, a glass plate and a glass cup, and it was just kind of like it was just funny watching it, but that wasn't he wanted, and so the director told him to do it again later on, but before that, he falls asleep and he has this weird dream. I thought this was real. And so Simon and this guy had a different guy, and he played a guy that was supposed to be from his past, and they were supposed to pretend they're talking to each other on the phone, right? And so the guy picks like a bully, and the guy just started saying stuff, and it triggered Simon. He punched the guy in the face, and Simon, excuse me if I keep jumping back and forth with the two names, but Simon Williams punches the guy and his fist goes through the guy's face. But luckily it was just a dream. But that's the reality for Simon Williams, that he could actually do that to everybody in that room because he's that powerful among them. Like, it'd be different if he went toe to toe against the Hulk or Thanos. He might not be able to pull that off right away. Or imagine Simon Williams and Luke Cage fought. He may not get Luke Cage like that, but everybody in this particular room right now, he can get like that. But he wakes up and he has to go outside, and him and Trevor are just having a conversation, and as usual, Trevor gives him a pep talk. Big brothers him in a way to make him understand, like, this is it. You got to do this. You got to do it this way. And, I'm just like, oh, wow, this is what best friends do. They cut the BS sometimes. And he goes back. They do it. And it looks like everything's done. And he proves that he can act. And then, as soon as they're leaving, Simon and Trevor find out they got the part. Simon gets to be Wonder Man. Trevor gets to be Barnaby. And at the end of this episode, Agent P is desperate. And Trevor is using it at an advantage now to keep him out of prison. Because after that, he was about to throw him back in prison. And now we're seeing Trevor kind of go back to his old ways. But again, he's desperate. He doesn't want to go back to prison. For him, this is too much for him. And Trevor, in his mind, believes he's not that guy no more from Iron Man 3. Right? Like, he really had a life change. He really grew up. Having a drug addiction, alcohol addiction. He said 13 years sober, and, sometimes that it creeps up on you sometimes, and it's not to tempt you to drink or to do some narcotics, but the way the habits it taught somebody during those times of fighting those demons. And this is just a perfect example, right? Because, again, Trevor doesn't want to go back to prison. It's traumatizing for him. And he really created him and Simon are becoming like best buds, and they're about to have a successful movie together, and their lives are about to change, and Agent P is just being whack about this stuff. And we're gonna see now, which I believe that their friendship is gonna end at some point, but how long does it end? Because now we only got 2 more episodes, 7 and 8, and I just honestly I think this is gonna be short term. I just believe that breaking up this friendship in the long run wouldn't benefit. I think them being friends now throughout the whole next phases of the MCU is going to be beneficial for Marvel Studios. And there's something there, very creatively. I think there's a lot of stories you can tell with these two characters, with other Marvel characters, that I just truly believe that if Kevin Feige can just see the vision of these two characters and maybe create something really cool, I think this would be it. This is a chance to do something even more different that's so beneficial for Marvel fans, superhero fans. I think Marvel Studios could make so much great content, so much great opportunity, teams up that you wouldn't imagine. And it's all right there. I just think this would be very important, if they just do that. So, but here's again, they're foreshadowing it feels like a thing that is just going to happen. It feels like that their friendship's going to end, because I think now, either by episode 7 or at least by half of episode 8, Simon's going to find out about what Trevor's been doing. And I think it's going to be tough. But again, why rush any type of great ending? Why rush a story where there's so much story about these two Marvel characters that can be told, whether it's on a TV series or even in the movie theaters? Like, there's so much. But what I like about there's 3 things I like about this episode. Number 1, I always say this, but I like how they're showing how it really goes down in processing of being cast in a film or a TV show. Like these exercises that you saw in this show, that's what happens in real life. Like, it's just, you got to show your strength. They got to know what you're not good at. And you can't really hide what you're not good at, because if you don't know how to show a certain thing or act a certain way, for example, Simon just literally verbatim, word for word, just requoted a scene from Pretty Woman. Like, it's been done before. People historically have done something like that, similar to that. And it's just how it is. Sometimes that works. I'm not saying that never works, but it does work sometimes. But I wouldn't recommend it to do it. I wouldn't make that a habit, because sometimes you don't know what director you're dealing with. You don't know what their mindset is. You don't know the feeling to it. But I wouldn't do it. I would say do it, but don't make it a habit. That's my advice. But again, it works, and sometimes it don't work. Some people who are the directors or whatever, they're more like, I want to see the real you and use the real you to bring life to this character. But sometimes that's not always the way, and sometimes what Simon Williams did works. So I like that. The second thing I like is the friendship between Trevor and Simon Williams in this. We're seeing, like, now Simons is showing more a vulnerable side, a softer side to Trevor, because I think Simon is trusting Trevor a lot more than Trevor realizes, or maybe he does realize it. And then the third thing I like is that they got the role. I'm really glad they got the role in this Wonder Man movie. And I like seeing this, and honestly, I think this is it's setting up to me so many stories they could tell with like mutants and X-Men characters, so much. So I really want to see so much out of this, and I think this to me indicates there's a goal. At least I think Marvel Studio has a certain goal of a story to tell with Wonder Man, aka Simon Williams. And I think that because he is a character that's famously known in comic books as the members of the West Coast Avengers, and I think that's something that I think they want to do. I think they do. I don't think it's wrong. If we're going to technically, there's already 2 Avengers now in the MCU. There's the Thunderbolts, aka the new Avengers, and apparently Sam Wilson has recruited and created a Avengers himself. So off camera, I guess, from that Thunderbolts movie that came out last year. So there's that. And then we have Avengers Doomsday. So I don't think the idea of having a third Avengers group wouldn't be a bad idea. I think that is a goal. And I think they could build it up. I think they could do a West Coast Avengers. So I'm hoping that them telling this story of Simon Williams getting the role of Wonder Man is the first step to it, of seed planting. So really good episode. If I had to give this a 1 out of 10, I'm definitely going to give it a 7. Really good. Really, really good. Great episode. I love watching, I love the concept of this, of just showing how an actor and actress has to do, because they're not movie stars, but now they're on the path to become movie stars, where he's on that same level as a Denzel Washington, a Tom Cruise, I don't know, Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr. level. Pick your favorite actor and actress. Halle Berry, right? Just pick that's movie stars right there. So I'm really excited to see that. Really great episode, and I just love that. So that's my spoiler review, everybody. Please, please, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talking Entertainment. Subscribe. Hit that notification button so you always get updated with all my latest content. Thank you guys, and peace out.